to Creative Genius, the 21-day series where we are going to unlock your creative freedom, your creative joy, and your creative magic. Welcome to day 12 of Creative Genius, and today we're talking about the void, that space of creation that freaks out almost every creative. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you or your process, and it's not because you are creatively burnout or you're creatively stuck. In fact, I want this to make you feel confident and certain that you don't have to worry about creative burnout ever again. You don't have to worry about creative blocks ever again. We're going to take this particular day and we're going to talk about the void in a way that's going to change how we're looking at it and how we're creating. So most creatives, when we're talking about the void, they have an experience where they're thinking of a time when they had to stop creating, or life happened, or something happened and they felt really disconnected from their art, disconnected from their work, disconnected from their motivation, disconnected from whatever it is. They were going through something as a human that left them in a place of feeling like they were a little bit more in the dark with their art and with their creations. That's normal and that's natural. When we're moving into the seasons right now, it's October, we're moving into a season that is much more winter, that is much more root focused, that is much more that sort of void, veil thinning energy, right? It's not the height, it's not the height of the bloom, and you are part of nature. So you are going to have seasons where we go underground a little bit, where we do let go a little bit more. We are more focused on the root systems. We do withdraw a little bit. Now, the thing about this is that you get to decide that you're still creating. You get to have the subconscious belief and the nervous system set point of, I'm still creating. So even if you're taking breaks from your work, you might be creating resilience. You might be creating growth. You might be creating new roots. You might be creating a new sense of self, a new identity, a new story. You might be creating patience. You might be creating stillness. You might be creating peace. You might be creating like healing. You might be in a place where you're dealing with grief, or you're dealing with loss, or you're dealing with, the other parts of human duality. And so you're creating something through that. Who you become is going to then overflow into your next place where you are ready to create, where it feels natural to overflow, where it feels natural to come out. So these places where we're in the void are not something that need to be avoided. They're not something that need to be looked at with fear. They're not places where we need to feel worried about being disconnected. Now, most artists, most creatives, this is going to tie into a whole much larger conversation for a different day. We're not set up for passive revenue. We're not set up in businesses that make us feel like we can take a break. We're not set up in ways where we feel like, we can step back and still be secure. There's a very real belief system and like way of creating where it looks like production. If you're not producing as an artist, then you're falling behind, or you get lost in the algorithm or whatever. That is a lot of people's belief systems. And so when your subconscious and your body believe that to be true, that's what you're going to see, versus the belief system and building into your foundation and building into your business, building into your life ways that you can take a step back, ways that you can still feel safe if you're not producing. Because producing is not the same thing as creating. I'm creating every minute of every day, but I'm not necessarily producing art every minute of every day. That is the kind of art that's on the page or on a poem or whatever. My life is art. My life is the masterpiece. I am creating that all the time. I am 100% creating that every minute. But the art you see from me, it's like the tip of the iceberg that's out of the water. And the masterpiece, the life, everything else I'm creating is under the water. So for you, if you are in a period where you are in a void, where you are not having all the answers about what you're going to create or where you're going to go or what's going to happen next, welcome to being human. That's just the way it is for a lot of us in different periods of our life, and it's okay. We're still safe, right? We get to have the nervous system and subconscious beliefs and like instilled foundation within ourselves to understand that we're still creating. You cannot be taken from your creativity. You cannot be separated from it. So in those moments, we have to ask ourselves, still, what am I creating? I'm having disconnection from this. I'm having, a place where I don't feel inspired. I'm having duality as a human. And then what? What are you going to create from there? Because that's life as a human being. But as an artist, as a creator, as somebody who knows their creative power, then the question gets to become, what am I going to create with this, through this? Am I going to create the belief that I'm okay? Am I going to create softness? Am I going to create compassion for myself? Am I going to create safety for myself? Am I going to create love for myself? Am I going to create rest? Am I going to create gratitude for the ways that I'm learning and I'm changing? Am I going to create wisdom with this? Am I going to work with this situation to create wisdom? And am I going to create trust, absolute trust in the fact that I have always been a creator and I've always been an artist, and everything is bringing me to a new evolution of art, to a new way of speaking, to a new way of being, to a new way of creating in the world. But for right now, my creative process might be more for me. And how do you want to set yourself up as a person in this world that is going to deal with duality? Because that comes for everybody. So allowing ourselves grace and compassion is amazing. And allowing ourselves time to step away if we need it is amazing. But if you want to create something where you have art that's still available no matter what, where you have offers that are still available no matter what, where you have places that people can still find your work no matter what, where you're creating powerfully no matter what, then that becomes a different conversation. That becomes a different set of priorities. That becomes a different lens and a way of thinking and a different way of building your website, a different way of building your art, a different belief system for showing up. That's different.